Have you ever heard of the Knights Templar? They are the warrior monks of God, basically. And the reason I'm talking about them today is because there is this new divine, let's say, discovery. And they're saying that Baphomet, the so-called satanic deity, was created by them, or something like that. So let's go into the story and see what we can find and try to figure out, right? The Knights Templar were one of the most mysterious and powerful organizations in medieval history. Part monk, part elite warrior, and part international banker. I didn't know the international banker part. So they were founded in 1119 CE by a French knight named Hugo de Payens and 8 companions. The official name was Poor Fellow, Soldiers of Christ and of the Temple of Solomon. Now we already know that Solomon had divine right over all demons because God had given him an engraved special ring with which he could command them. Let's see if that has anything to do with the story, right? Their headquarters was the Temple Mount in Jerusalem, believed to stand at the site of King Solomon's temple, a place already surrounded by biblical legend. Their mission on paper was very simple: protect Christian pilgrims traveling the Holy Land after the First Crusade. But very quickly they became something else entirely. Here's where history starts to rewrite itself, right? So we have the Templar Code. Poverty. They owned nothing personally. Everything belonged to the order. No wives, no children, no romantic relationships. Which I never understood this. Even for priests and nuns, I just don't get it. Why? Whatever. Obedience. Absolute loyalty to the Grand Master. I'm sorry, it's giving me cult vibes. Their faith was about, they were officially a Catholic order, sanctioned by Pope Honorius II in 1109, and directly under papal authority, meaning kings could not command them. Interesting. Remember how a lot of times I tell you about the Holy Roman Empire that became the Holy Roman Catholic Church afterwards? It's kind of connected to that also. So let's talk about their wealth and power. As their fame spread, so did their influence. They invented an early form of banking, and it's giving me Rothschild vibes. Pilgrims could deposit money in one Templar house in Europe and withdraw it in the Holy Land. They financed kings, held enormous estates, and their red cross became a symbol both of salvation and power. Now, their cross is very similar to the Anunnaki cross, which is the same kind of cross that King Charles, William, and Henry wore on their suits. By the 1200s, they weren't just warriors. They were economic and political force. They carried relics, prayed daily, and swore vows before God. But their secrecy fueled rumors. It was said that they were holding these secret rituals behind closed doors. They had strange oaths and symbols that were very hard to understand. Maybe they were giving off the wrong vibe. Then there were the whispers that they had discovered dangerous truths in Jerusalem. This could be relics, scrolls, or knowledge that challenged the church version of history. I'm gonna throw it out there. I'm just gonna take a leap and guess Anunnaki. Amen after a prayer means Amun Ra, which is hail thanks to Ra, the sun god. And that's Marduk, Enki's son. So there's that. And then, so when they discovered this truth, this is when later they were accused of heresy. Not because they worship Satan, but because they may have known something the church didn't want revealed to the public, as usual. Their fall was from 1307 to 1314. On October 13, 1307, King Philip IV of France, deeply in debt to the Templars, ordered their sudden arrest. Surprising. His charges were heresy, idolatry, blasphemy, obscene initiation rites, and worship of Baphomet. And this is Baphomet would be the god with the goat head, right? So the Pope at the time was Clement V. Initially resisted, but eventually sided with Philip. Then the Templars that were under torture, many of them confessed to anything. I mean, it was torture. That was the worst way of making people confess. Like, you ended up saying even things that weren't true just to make them stop. So, under torture, these guys confessed spitting on the cross, kissing each other's necks during rituals, and venerating a mysterious head called Baphomet. The last Grand Master Jacques de Molay was burned at the stake in 1314, allegedly cursing the Pope and the king as he died. Both were dead within a year. So the thing is this, what were they really? Because for some reason, I really don't see them as being the bad guys. I see them as being demonized because they found something out. Were they Catholic? Yes. Officially sanctioned by the Pope until their destruction. Were they against Jesus? No. There is no historical evidence that suggesting any antichrist behavior. There are some theories that suggest that they may have held alternative secret interpretations of his teachings, but again, that just goes to show that there's like more spiritual meaning behind Jesus's words, and that the Catholic Church really doesn't represent his words, his teachings. But let's move on. I believe that these were mystics and keepers of secrets, quite possibly the secrecy of the Jerusalem excavations, and the accusation points to knowledge that went beyond standard Catholic doctrine. That is what I think. They knew too much. So what happened of their legacy? Even after their official end, legends of the Templars lived on. Guardians of the Holy Grail. They're the ones. They are keepers of lost relics from Solomon's temple. They are holders of esoteric knowledge passed into secret societies like the Freemasons. So I don't know here. I mean, it's starting to sound like if the Freemasons are against the Catholic Church, and a lot of people say that the Catholic Church is full of lies, manipulations, and corruption, who's the bad guy here? Everybody? No one? One or the other? You know what I mean? This day, and this is exactly where the Baphomet mirror story slides in. Okay, so what do you think the relic was that they had that was so dangerous? Based on my research, the Templars possessed a technology, a relic that bypassed priest, dogma, and heresy. Basically, you wouldn't need the church to see God. You could see him, or her, yourself. And this all goes back to some more Anunnaki truth. To the Inquisition, this was so much worse than heresy. It was freedom, and freedom in 1307 was punishable by death.